the basic building blocks for multi-layer switching, IP routing, our SVI config, but let's do this in the wild and get acquainted with the config and confident with the config. Now, let's get some exposure to our scenario here. You can see my IP addressing for the different VLANs, and I can work with about 4 different PCs in this environment. PC 1, 2, 3, 4. These are PCs running Windows XP. XP is great because it's a simple operating system and certainly representative of what we want. Okay, so I'm going to do an IP config. You can see my IP addresses and the default gateway there. You can see that my subnet mask matches that of the demonstration topology, 10.1.1.0 with the /26 mask. And let's go over to PC4. 2 and 3 just are .12, .13, but PC4 is a little bit different. We go over to PC4. Do the IP config command. And you can see that's got a 124 address. But let's see if we can ping our default gateways. It's not so promising. I'll ping my default gateway here. Ping. I would want you to think, I've got no IP addressing on DSW1. Those addresses don't exist. But DSW1 is the device that I'm going to choose to configure multi-layer switching. I could also do this on DSW2, but I would need different default gateway IP addresses. So I might do 10.1.1.3 for the default gateway. Or DSW1 would get 10.1.1.1, and 2 would get 10.1.1.2. Okay. So let's also verify, and this is the right way to go. We check our addressing, or at least the DHCP is up and running. Now, I'm statically assigning addresses to these clients. Well, let's look at my port configs. Show IP, show VLAN brief. I want to see that PCs 1 and 2 are in VLAN 10. PCs 1 and 2 right here are in VLAN 10, just like what we want. And 3 and 4 are hanging off of ASW2, so let's go there. By the way, this looks good, just fine. Show VLAN brief here. And we've got our ports. They look good also. 3 is in 10. 4 is in 20. Good, good, good. Okay. So I need my routing config right now. By the way, I do have trunk links in place. I'll do a show int trunk just to show you, yeah, trunks abound. All of these switches are connected via trunks. DSW1 is going to turn into my router. And let's do a show IP route. That's interesting. Is it good? Is it bad? Well, we'll find out. I want you to look at that and go, I'm not so sure what's going on there. But I'm going to leave that as is. I'm going to do a show IP interface brief. And I'm going to look for any existing SVIs. The SVIs are at the top of the list. They do not exist. VLAN 1, you get that. That's just an automatic one with the chassis. But I don't have VLAN or an SVI for VLAN 20 and an SVI for VLAN 10. Let's build those. Starting with VLAN 10. Now, what IP address should I put on this? What IP address should I put on this? While that happens, let's talk about why this interface came up. This is a 3750E. The interfaces will come up automatically. Some chassis you have to do a no shutdown command. It'll only come up, though, if there's an interface present, a physical interface present in the same broadcast domain. There is one. Specifically, all of the trunk links. They're members of all the VLANs. But if you see that an interface doesn't come up, check into it. Make sure that there are some interfaces that are in up status that are in this VLAN. There's a logical VLAN, but we do need to have something in it. We need to have some physical stuff in it, physical interfaces specifically. So my question was, what IP address do I put in here? IP address 10.1.1 what? What IP address? I'll give you a hint. Let's go over to PC1. I'll do an IP config. Again, I ask, what IP address? You're seeing it right here. It's the default gateway. It is the default gateway IP address. Probably don't want to choose black as a color, so let's circle that in yellow. That's my default gateway. Okay. So let's go back over to our switch here. What do I need next? I need my subnet mask. Let's go back to the client. What subnet mask? It needs to match. It needs to match. So that subnet mask is right there. I could copy and paste it. Copying and pasting from a command prompt is a little annoying. And you know what? Let me just show you how annoying that is. Edit. If you ever have to do this, it's nice to have seen it. Now I press enter. Is that going to copy to the right device? Yeah, I think so. Good. Okay. So that's my subnet mask. No shutdown is not needed. So we're going to do it into VLAN 20, and we're going to do the same thing. What IP address do I need here? Let's go to PC4 and see what it expects to find as the default gateway. I'm on PC4 now. IP config 10.1.1.5 or 65. I'll up arrow. Do a 65 there. Okay. So my SVI config is done. Let's do a show IP int brief. Good. So I can see that I've got my SVIs. They're in the up status. They've got their IP addresses. That's a big deal. Now, bear something in mind. If you don't see these in the up status, they could be administratively down. Just do a no shutdown. And if they're not up, but they're not administratively down, that means that there's nothing in it. You need some physical interfaces in VLAN 10 and 20. I have trunks, so I have that, okay? Let's look at my routing table. Show IP route. That's not so promising. Let's ping one of these clients. Oh, that's pinging myself. One of the clients is .11. Oh, I can reach .11. Can I reach .124? That's PC4. I can reach it. Can these clients communicate with one another? So I'm going to ping. I'm on PC1 now. You can see in the upper right hand corner, PC1 10.1.1.124. It's not working. It's not working. Boo. Well, let's go back and look at our routing table. Show IP route. Oh, wait a minute. That doesn't look like a routing table. Let's do an IP routing. Not a command you use every day. Really, not a command you use every day, no matter who you are. And now let's give it a whirl. Oh, let's look at our routing table. Look at the massive difference between, and you still have some of the lingering output of this before, and then you have the after. You've got your connected routes. That's what's enabling routing between VLANs. I said, routing between VLANs, that's enabled. I inferred as much. Is it really working? It is. So you saw from soup to dessert exactly what it takes to configure multi-layer switching on our distribution layer chassis, and there's a lot to make it work, but this configuration is sound and its applicability is wide.